Welcome guys to another Tales of Middle-earth. As you know, I'm Adam and I have Mike back again. And we're going to do a 550 point match of the high ground between my white council that I'll be using, and Mike is using the...
I got the dark powers.
Of Dol Guldor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and we are using proxies because the models aren't out for them yet, and I haven't made any, even though the SBG magazine has some conversions to make these models. I've never actually followed up because my crafting skills aren't the best. So we are using some proxies for those armies. It's going to be a pretty thematic sort of battle, I think. You know,
interesting.
should be pretty good. You know, the armies are pretty interesting. We both, for 550 points, we have 5 or less models each. Yeah, it's gonna be quick.
Small but mighty.
Yes, small but mighty is right. So why don't I show you the armies, show you the board, and we'll get right into the match from there. Well guys, this here is my 550 points. I'm actually 20 points short, but I couldn't put in anything else into this list. So over here, I have Glorfindel with armor and Aspfloss, but I'm using the captain from the Rivendell Knights as the mounted model. Galadriel, Lady of Light, we all know what she does, banishment for 5 spirit. Saruman the Wise, he is the one from the There and Back Again book, so he does get to re-roll his casting and resisting die, well, 1 die of his resistance and casting. And then Erestor with Elven Cloak. Obviously he has a throwing dagger and Elven Blades. So that is my 550 point list for today's match. And this here is Mike's army. So Mike, why don't you walk us through what you are using here? Like I said, we are using proxies today because we don't have models for everything, but they are all related in some way to Dol Guldor because of the Castlins. They're Castlins of Dol Guldor. And then, well, we got some ring race.
So we'll start, just go left to right. So we've got, we're going to use Kamal. It is Knight of Umbar, but he's a pretty good option for Kamal's switch. We'll go to the right. We got Witch King here.
Yeah.
Then we've got, obviously, the Necromancer. He's pretty easy to pick off. And then, so these guys, they're a little bit pretty much the same, but we're going to go with basically the Forsaken. I believe we were using this sword up, and then for the Slayer of Men, we're going to use the sword facing down. That's right, and so that is Mike's 550 points, so I'll show you the board next. So this here is our board that we're playing on, 4x4 fat mat, grasslands, trees all over it. It is the high ground, so the high ground is the central sort of area. We threw the tower in there just because of the thematic sort of feel, just sort of, for us, makes it a little bit more Dol Guldor sort of theme. Look at this.
We could have always added more ruins and such in there, but we were like, meh, we won't do that. So that is the board we're playing on. We'll come back with deployment next. Here's the roll-off for deployment. See who sets up first. I rolled a 2. Mike rolled a 5. So he has to select one of his 5 guys and sets them up. So he has to roll a d6 again. So he's going to use Kamal. And he has to set up within 12 inches of the center of the board. And Kamal was set up right back there, within a short walking distance of the high ground. My 1 warband here, let's see what they get. They get a 5, I can set them up anywhere I want. I'll set them up and show you next. So that there is my deployment for my warband. We have Galadriel up front. My general is Saruman for this one, and then Erestor and Glorfindel on the sides. So we'll come back with all of the rest of Mike's warband's deployments. All right, so here's the rolls for the rest of Mike's warbands. So the Necromancer first. 2.
I'd say 2. It's not far.
And so then next is going to be the Witch King. 1, so also within 12 inches of the center of the board. Next will be the Slayer of Men, and also within 12 inches of the center of the board. And then the Forsaken, also within 12 inches.
Pretty good rolls for us there.
Well, you get them all set up within each close proximities of each other. So we'll come back. I'll show you their deployment next. And with his rolls, all his guys have set up right there beside each other. We'll come back with priority next. Priority round 1. I got a 2 to Mike's 4. Mike has priority. Just at the beginning of the movement phase, Galadriel is calling a heroic channel on her go. So during my movement phase, Glorfindel has moved up, but Galadriel is going to move up as well, and then she's going to cast channel Fortify Spirit on herself. I'm going to use her free one as well as one from her store. Just make sure I don't roll that one or double ones. That would be really bad. So she does have Fortify Spirit on herself, which gives her 2 free dice to resist spells, plus a +1 from that, because it is channeled. And then as long as she's within 6 inches of another member of the White Council, then she also gets another +1 to that. So she'll have a +2 to her resistant rolls. Also during Saruman's movement phase, he's using Aura of Command. He's just going to use a free one. Hopefully it gets off on a 4+. It does. End of the movement phase. This is what it looks like. My guys have all stuck together, moved up, and the Dark Forces of Dol Guldor are starting to spread around and claim the objective there. So we'll come back with priority for round 2 next. Priority, turn 2. I got a 3 to Mike 6. We'll come back with his movement next. So Mike has decided on his turn not to move and hold the line right there. So we'll come back with my movement next.
You're not gonna get.
So beginning my movement, Galadriel is going to move up first, and she's going to move up just to there, and she's going to cast Fortify Spirit on Saruman, needing a 2+. And there's a 4, so Saruman also has Fortify Spirit on him. Irastor just moves up as well, the 6 inches, and Glorfindel is moving up on this side over here. Saruman next is going to be moving up behind Galadriel, and then he is going to use Command on the Necromancer. So the Saruman with the command is within range. I am going to just use his 1 free die, just because it is a 3+, and I get a 2. Oh. So nothing. That's okay. That is okay. So we will come back with priority next. Round 3 priority. And I got a 6. I got it. We'll come back. Ooh, that's kind of sacrilegious. I got a Witch King die here rolling for the White Council. Maybe that's why Saruman decides to go evil. We'll come back with my movement next. So for my movement, Irastor is just going to move up here onto the hill. And then Glorfindel is going to move up here onto that side, sort of filling that gap and readying a charge next turn. Galadriel is going to move up, and she's going to cast Fortify Spirit on Irastor. Rolls that 6 again. So we have 3 of my 4 models now with Fortify Spirit. And then Saruman is going to move up here. And then he's going to cast with 2 dice Sorcerous Blast on the Witch King underneath there. So he has 1 will, the Witch King. I'm going to use 2 dice, so a free one and one from his stores. I need to get a 4+, but I get to re-roll one of these. See what I get. So we got a 6. So now you can roll see if you can get a 6. You do have 3 might that you can modify it as well if you wanted to, but you get a 5. So you're going to use one of your 3 might.
That's tough because I could bring him back possibly, but if you don't.
Well,
I'm going to use one of my might.
Yeah, absolutely. You might as well, because it doesn't necessarily kill you, but it could wound you, but I'd be knocking you back d6 inches. Yeah. So that spell is resisted by the Witch King. So during the Necromancer's movement up here, well, I should say all of Mike's guys moved up, but the Necromancer moved up. He's going to try he's going to try to cast Chill Soul on Glorfindel. So here's a roll. He's using 1 will, plus he gets a free one from the army rule, Dark Powers of Dol Guldor, and he gets a 5. He could might that up to a 6. Glorfindel does have 3 will and does not have Fortify Spirit yet. So I will use 2 as well. I get a 5, but I get a +1 automatically, so it's 6, so it cancels out that spell there. End of the round, this is what it looks like. Everybody is getting ready for, it looks like, next turn's priority and probably a charge of some form. So let's go see what happens. I got a 3, and Mike has a 5. He has priority. So, beginning of the movement phase, both Glorfindel and the Forsaken have decided to call a heroic move. Mike does have priority, so he's going to roll off. 1 to 3 him, and that's a 1, so very decisive. 4 to 6, obviously, me being good, so we'll see what he does with his movement next. Alright, so this guy here, he's going to try charging Glorfindel of Forsaken. So he does have normally a 6 courage, but it's -1 because he's within range of Galadriel, and he is good with a roll of a 7. So he does charge into Glorfindel. Kamal is also going to try to charge Glorfindel, so he needs to get good. But he rolls a double 1, so he is not charging anybody in fear of Glorfindel. So next is going to be... sorry, that was the Forsaken. That's Slayer of Men. Slayer of Men was the one calling it heroic combat. So the Forsaken is going to be charging, hopefully, Glorfindel as well. He's good with an 8. So the Necromancer's movement, he's just going to move over, correct?
Yep.
And then cast Transfix on Galadriel. So here's the roll. He's using 1 will, plus he gets a free one. He does get a 6. Galadriel does have a +2 to her rolls, so I'm using Resist plus her free one. Or Fortify Spirit plus her free one, I should say. And there is a 6 with the Gandalf dice. So for my movement, I'm going to start off with Saruman here. He's going to use 1 from his store plus a free 1 to cast Sorcerer's Blast on Kamal there. We'll push him straight back into the wall behind him. So here's a roll. And a 4 and a 2. So I'm going to re-roll that 2 and hope for something better. I do get a 5, so it goes off on a 5. So you have 1 die plus 2 might if you need to might it. So let's see what happens. You get a 6, nice so it cancels it right off the bat without any might expenditure. So we'll come back with the rest of my movement next. Galadriel's go next. I'm going to use 1 from her store to try casting Banishment on Kamal, who has no more will left, needing a 3, and I get a 2. So that is, you know what? It's worth, I think, at this point in time. I'm going to use a point of might from Galadriel to boost that up to a 3, because he can't resist it to cause a wound to Kamal, and he is killed, but you do put a marker there for his Unholy Resurrection rule. So here's Erestor's go. What he's going to do, he's going to charge into the Witch King back here. Automatically passes because of Aura of Command from Saruman. So if he charges in, he's going to use his Throwing Dagger on the Witch King. So I do need a 4+ to hit him. That's a 3. I will...
2 might, right?
I won't use his might. I will just leave it because he only has the 1 might. So I'll go back over there. And he'll just stay charged into the Witch King. So if he did pass though, I was going to then hopefully wound him because I would have needed a 6 and then just charge into one of the 2 guys that are in on Glorfindel. But that didn't work, so we'll come back with combats next. So beginning of the combat phase, both the Glorfindel and Forsaken of Men, the one over here, has called a heroic strike. Do you want to do that combat first? It's up to you because you have priorities, so you can choose. Okay, so here's a roll off to see who goes up higher. I go up to 10, and you go up to 8. So I have the higher fight value. So I only have 3 dice. So let's see if I can get a 6. I do get a 6, and I automatically take it. So they're not knocked down. But I need to get a 5. I'm going to go after the Forsaken first. There's a 6, so he is killed. And then the Slayer of Men, he is also killed with a 6 as well. And so we will put counters down there, and we will see what happens and if they come back next priority phase. So the next combat in this turn is going to be Erestor versus the Witch King. So here's my rolls. And I got a 3 highest. Woo! You got a 6 highest. I can't even might that, so I do get pushed back an inch, and then let's see if you can wound him. That is nothing.
Good fight.
At the end of the round, this is what it looks like. Saruman, Galadriel back here. Glorfindel did push the Forsaken, and what the heck is the other guy's name?
Forsaken and
the Slayer of Men back and slayed them both. So now they have 2 tokens there.
They're looking bad now.
And then Galadriel rolled a 2 for banishment, but used a point might to banish Kamal, and the Witch King pushed back Erestor. So let's roll for priority. I got a 4 to your 5, and then after the priority roll, now you need to make your rolls for Unholy Resurrection. So you need a 3+ on each of them because you would get a +1 because the Necromancers within are on the board, but all the guys have been slain either by magic or an Elven Blade, which gives you a -1. So they just cancel each other out, and you need a 3+. So who are you starting with?
Kamal, sorry.
Kamal gets a 1. Kamal is gone. Oh no!
He's just afraid.
So he is slayed permanently.
Purple die for.
Okay, so Slayer of Men. Let's see if he comes back. He also rolls a 1. Oh no! So he's dead.
Oh no!
Okay, what about the Forsaken? Let's see if he comes back. 6. The Slayer of Men does get to come back within 6 inches of that token. So the Slayer of Men is does come back up right by the Necromancer, right in front of the Necromancer. Sorry,
too funny.
For this match, and I will call a heroic move this action as well with Saruman.
That's good.
Also, the Witch King over here, he has also called a heroic move this round. So you have priority, so you can roll off. 4 to 6, it's me. 1 to 3, it's you. 6, yeah! Thank you, Blackfyre Productions dice. We'll come back with my movement next. So beginning of the movement phase, Saruman here, because he called a heroic move, is going to do a Sorcerer's Blast on the Slayer of Men, using a free one plus 1 from his store. He gets a 5, so I'm just going to see if I can re-roll that 3 for a 6. And I do get the 6! So, he does have 1 will.
Yep.
So, does he make it? Oh!
Wow!
No, he does make it, and Saruman will stay right there and not move.
Wow!
So next, I'm going to use Aristor. He's going to charge into the Witch King, but beforehand, he's going to use this on his way in, I should say. He's going to do his throwing daggers. He does hit on a 4+.
Yep.
And now your defense 6 versus strength 3. So I need 6s, but I get to re-roll this. So let's see. But because of the Nordile daggers, I do get to re-roll. Come on, 6!
Oh!
I will use his point of might
Wouldn't you, right?
to take out the Witch King. And then he instead will charge over here into the Slayer of Men. Dun, dun, dun. Next for my movement is going to be Glorfindel. And Glorfindel is going to automatically come up here and charge into...
He's being brave.
The Necromancer. He is being brave. You are right. And so that he automatically passes Courage Test because of Aura of Command. And so we'll do Galadriel next, and she's just going to charge into Slayer of Men as well. But before she gets in combat, she's going to try to cast Banishment with a free one on the Necromancer. Does go off with 3. So how many dice are you going to throw at it to resist?
How many will I'm going to...
Or the other option is you can just take it and use your will as fate to save the 1 wound that it causes as well. It's up to you. But you have to get a 4+. Or you try 1 and try to get a 3 higher. So here's Mike's going to use 2 will to resist the spell, and there it is with a 4. This is what the board looks like at the end of this round. It's not looking good for Mike. So we have the Slayer of Men that's going up against Aristor and Galadriel, and the Necromancer who's going up against Glorfindel. Are you calling any heroics?
Heroic strike and heroic combat for Necromancer.
Well, you can only call 1 heroic per character.
Oh, is it only 1?
Yeah, in each phase.
Strike for sure.
Okay, so heroic strike. So Glorfindel's going to counter, and Galadriel is going to call a heroic as well. So Galadriel, for her heroic, called a heroic combat up against the Slayer of Men. So she will be the Witch King dice, and Aristor will be the Gandalf dice. I do have the higher fight value. Let's see if I can get a 6.
Did you not?
I don't get a 6. Let's see. I can might it. Let's see if you get a 6 on your 2 dice and force me to use that last might point on him or on her. And you do. So I will take use her last might point to get that 6. And then here's the rolls. Wow.
Did that not?
Wow, that he's still alive.
Wow, I thought he was alive. No, he's dead. Right?
He does get pushed back that inch. Can he move back that inch? Yeah, he can there. All right. And that was not good. Uh-oh. Next fight is going to be Glorfindel versus the Necromancer. Let's see what they go up to. What does the Necromancer go up to? He goes up to 9. Uh-oh. And I go up to 9 anyways. So, let's see what happens. We are tied. So, here's my 4 dice rolls with Glorfindel. I get a 3 highest. Oh, no. Oh, no.
Oh, 3.
You have 1 attack.
No, 1,
yeah. So, let's see what you get with your 1 die. You get a 1, and Glorfindel takes it. I do knock him down. And so, what's your strength with Necromancer again?
It's 9, isn't it?
No.
Or no, that was fight. Sorry, strength 6.
So I don't knock you down. So here's his 4 wounds, or his 4 strikes up against the Necromancer. So your defense 8?
Yes.
All right. So I actually didn't roll any wounds on the Necromancer.
Oh, there you go.
But he does lose 1 will from being in combat that phase.
Yep, so he...
End of the round. This is what the phase, or the field looks like. Saruman's back here. We have the Slayer of Men that's still on the board, somehow survived. And then we have the Witch King that is a token. So let's roll for priority next round. I got a 4, 4. You got a 5, so you have it. And then
Let's roll for
Witch King. Let's see if he comes back.
Yes.
He does come back within 6 inches of that token. So, Witch King was placed right there. Mike does have priority. I am going at the beginning of the movement phase, call a heroic move with Saruman and use his last point of might as well. To counter, the Necromancer uses second point of might, and he is also calling a heroic move. So might as well roll to see what you get. 4 plus goes to me. That's a cock die. So,
reroll?
yeah. There's a 6. Man. It goes to me again. Thank you, Blackfyre Productions dice. So for Saruman's go, before he moves, he's going to attempt to cast freaking Immobilize on the Necromancer using 1 free one. That is a 5. That is pretty strong, so I'm going to keep it and force him to roll some dice to hopefully resist that. So he does have 1 might left as well. So how many dice are you going to be using?
I'm going to go with 4.
Alright, he's going to use 4 of his dice that he has left for will.
2, and it'd be 3 red. Because I get 1 free.
No. So here's the die roll for the resist, and he does get 2 6s, so that is resisted. And we'll come back with the rest of his movement next. Next, I'm going to do Arestor. He's going to charge into the Slayer of Men. On the way in, he's going to use his Nordile throwing daggers. Does not hit, so he just charges in on him. Glorfindel here, before anything else, is going to charge into the Witch King again. And then...
Did you say Witch King?
Or into the Necromancer. I didn't say Witch King. I meant the Necromancer. And then Galadriel is going to use a free one to banish. Banish the Necromancer. And I get a 3. So he has to roll the resist. It does go off. So Mike's going to use 2 dice to resist. And he does get that 3 resisting it. And then after that, she's going to continue her movement into the Witch King. So the beginning of the combat phase, both the Necromancer and Glorfindel have called a heroic strike. So we're just going to do that one first. That's what you want to do because you have priority. Yeah. So we'll see what you roll. You go up to, no, oh no, I go up by 1 higher, so I do have 4 dice.
So fight 8.
And here we go, let's see if I get a 6. I only get a 4 highest, oh no, you have 1 die. Let's see if you can beat my 4. That's a cock too.
Cocked again.
That's a 1, alright, I don't knock you down, but let's see if I can strike some wounds. I need 6s. And that is nothing on him.
They're having an interesting battle.
So next combat is going to be Slayer of Men versus Arestor. Here's Arestor's roll to see if I get a 6 because he does have the higher fight. He gets a 5 high. That's pretty good. And you get a 2s. All right. So I'm using the Nordile daggers because I get to reroll my wounds. So I need 5s.
Yeah, and I've got 6.
So I'm glad I rerolled those. Let's see if I get a 5.
Oh, man,
3s and 1s. But I do push them back that inch there. Last combat, Witch King has 2 attacks versus Galadriel, who has 3. I do have the higher fight value, so I do get a 5 highest. That's good. I like it. Like my chances. Oh no, there's a 6. Galadriel is defense 3. You are strength 4, so you need 4s. And there's a wound, so she's going to use her first fate.
I figured that.
And it's a 6, so it's good.
You should be good.
This is what the board looks like. We have Saruman over here, and Galadriel, Arestor, and Glorfindel with the Slayer Men, Witch King there, and Necromancer over there. So let's roll for next round's priority. I got a 5. Yeah, I need it. You got a 5. You had it last, so I get it.
Last, so it's yours.
So the Slayer of Men over here is calling a heroic move. I have no might to stop it, so we'll see what happens next. So Slayer of Men, he's choosing to charge Glorfindel. He does have a -1 to his terror test or courage test, and so here's a roll. Ooh, there's a 3. He doesn't move. He doesn't move. He stays exactly where he is. Uh-oh. So Necromancer is going to be Mike's next go, and what are you going to do with him?
So we're going to actually... I'm going to move him slightly.
Yeah.
Just back here.
Okay.
Just to kind of give him a little bit of space. And
okay.
then I'm going to cast Chill Soul, use 3 dice.
On Glorfindel?
2 will on Glorfindel.
Yeah.
And we're going to see what happens.
Alright, so you need 5+.
Oh, man.
No,
What a bad
1s
roll.
and 2s. Oh, nothing
Guess
goes
nothing's
off there.
happening.
Are you going to keep them there, or going to move them somewhere else? Just going to finish the last couple inch movement.
I'm going to move him over here.
Alright. That is the Necromancer's movement.
Right there.
Witch King's go. He's gonna try charging into Galadriel. He does get a -1 to his roll, and he makes it though with a roll of an 8. And he charges in there. So Saruman is going to use 1 from his store plus his free 1 to cast Command on the Necromancer. I do need a 3+, so here we go. Yep. I got a 4, so leave that 4. I'm going to re-roll this with his ability that allows him to re-roll a cast and a resist spell. Hope for a 6. That's a 5, so even better. So how many dice are you going to use on the Necromancer to resist?
I'm going to use 1, and then I'll use a fate save if I need to.
Well, it's not a wound, so it's just a spell. So you have to declare how many will you're going to use.
That's true.
So
I'm still going to just use 1.
Use 1, okay. And you get it with a 6.
Look at that.
He only needed that clutch roll right there. That was it. And then Saruman is going to stay stationary then. End of the movement phase is what looks like Erestor backed up Galadriel and charged into the Witch King. And Glorfindel charged into the Slayer of Men over there. So we will come back with combat next. Witch King here, beginning of the round, is going to call a heroic strike in that combat. So we're just going to do that one first. So roll your d6, see what you get. Your fight goes up to...
Oh, man!
Your fight goes up to a 6. Wow! Woo!
You don't even need
All
to roll.
right, I do, because both my guys are only fight 6.
Oh, I thought
Erestor is...
6-3,
Erestor, instead of using his Nordile daggers, he's actually going to use his Elven Blade for this combat. Because we are tied, if we both end up rolling a 6... then
win, yeah.
I get it on 3+ instead of 4+. So Erestor is the Gandalf dice, and Lady Light is the Witch King. Here we go. I got a 6.
Yeah,
Let's see if you get a 6. So roll your 2 dice, because we are at a tie fight value right now. Nope. And he has no might left to modify that. So I take it. So let's see if anybody causes him a wound. And Erestor does cause him a wound. That means he does get a -1 to his Unholy Resurrection. Glorfindel's next. He's going up against Slayer of Men. So I do have 4. Yeah, I have 4 dice here. And do I get a 6? I don't. I only get a 4 highest. So here's the 2 dice from him. You get a 6 though. You push me back the inch. Alright, so you get +1 to your wound rolls because you do have a 2-handed weapon and the special rule. Are you striking horse or rider?
Yeah, I should have told you that.
Yeah.
I guess we'll go. We'll just go rider. I
okay, so roll those dice then.
That was my bad. Apologies.
Yeah. So you got 1 wound on Glorfindel. So here's his first fate save. He's fine with that 4 there. End of the round, this is what it looks like. Saruman's over there. Witch King is slaying again. Necromancer's beelining it off the hill. He's like, I don't want to mess with these guys anymore. And Slayer of Men is sitting up there. So, priority for next round. I got a 5 to your 5. You had it last, so I get it next.
You had it last. Because remember, I rolled 5 last time, and I had it last.
Sorry, with that tied, it does actually go to Mike for priority and not myself. So let's see what he does. But first he has to roll for the Witch King. See if the Witch King comes back on a 3+. And it's a 1! Yes! We're thinning him down! We're thinning him down! We'll see what Mike does with his other 2 models next. Necromancer here, before he goes, he has to make a courage test. And he looks like he... Oh, that's cocked. Man. This is dangerous. Don't roll another one. Oh! The Necromancer runs away from the White Council. Oh! And let's see if the Slayer of Men decides to stay and fight as well. And he runs away as well because he gets a -5. He rolled a 5.
He has 6 courage.
No. Oh, yes, he does. So, Slayer of Men still stays around.
By himself.
Slayer of Men here. Mike, you're going to be doing what with him?
We're going to charge Glorfindel. He's going to be heroic and see if he passes.
Yeah, because his leader has decided to flee the combat. No! doesn't. He stays right where he is. Wah, wah, wah.
All right.
So I'm going to start off my go with Saruman. He's going to use a free one and one from his store to cast Sorceress Blast on the Slayer of Men.
Yeah.
Needing a 5. I got a 5 there. Do you have any? You don't have any will?
I don't.
All right, so he is pushed back 3 inches, and he hits the wall back there. So he takes 2 strength 6 hits. Let's see if I can get a 4+. I don't. I got a 1 or 2.
Do you have enough might though?
No might. I got no might on the board. Next, Galadriel is going to use 1 plus.
Down from the hit.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next, Galadriel is going to use 1 from her store plus free 1 cast banishment on him, getting 2 6s.
Ooh, nice.
And so he is banished with magic. Whoa.
Boom!
So Mike was broken at the start of this round, so we have to roll to see if the game ends at the end of this turn. All my guys are just hanging out here, and so have nobody to charge or anything. So let's see if the game ends on a 1 or 2. There's a 3, so the game continues. So we'll roll priority for next round. I got a 4. Tier 2. I have priority. Now you got to see if the Slayer of Men comes back on a 4+.
Oh,
and he doesn't. He is slain by Galadriel and her banishment.
That one.
So leading the game, this is what it looks like. All 4 of my guys have survived, and I did break Mike. And so we will come back with the after action report next. Well, guys, here we are at the after action reports. You saw the matchup between my White Council and the dark powers of Dol Guldor, or the fleeing dark powers of Dol
I don't know if it was a
Guldor.
matchup. I feel like they just fell apart.
Well, it was a thematic matchup, and I was heavily in my favor, I think. It sort of weighted in my favor.
Yeah.
So it was fun, and that's what matters. I think, for me, the highlight of the game was seeing the Necromancer roll double ones and flee. So that was funny. I loved that.
That was awesome, yeah.
Probably highlight of the match, in my opinion, for me. What's your thoughts on the match?
I think that was hilarious, and that was pretty thematic even.
Yeah.
For him to run right at that time, and I just love that Slayer, of all people, stayed.
Yeah.
All spirits.
Yeah.
Stayed out of everyone the most.
Yeah, he lasted the longest. Everybody else decided.
Yeah,
like your rules for the unholy resurrection was
man.
insane. Like, let's 3 1s for that. It's like, okay.
See ya.
Yeah, and then what was the other one? 4? Or
I got a
4, or he rolled a 2.
I got a couple that came back. I think Witch King came back once,
Yeah.
and Slayer I think came back once.
Yep.
But then they rolled a 2, I think, for
Like
4.
And don't get me wrong, the White Council, what I had in the White Council up against what Mike was running, completely had it stacked up against you. But it fit the theme though at the same time.
It was a great theme, a great battle.
Yeah, it was fun.
And I used enough will to at least get some action in for Necromancer. And I mean, trying to get those cast off between Saruman and Galadriel makes it so hard to get anything.
I think that's what I would have. If I was you, I would have been charging into those guys sooner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With your deployment for the Unholy Resurrection, where you can pop back within 6 inches, you kept them back closer to the Necromancer,
Very
and
true.
I would have probably went and put them closer to Galadriel and Saruman, so that way, if you had priority, which you had the priority quite a bit,
you just
know what I
got some
mean?
good heroic moves.
That's
you really did.
yeah, and so then I would have, if I was you, charged into those guys instead, because Saruman didn't have any terror, so you could have automatically charged without a terror test,
I think I made
right?
a mistake on the one turn where I didn't charge him. I wanted to try and keep Galadriel at bay, and I did that with Witch King.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all I would have done is change where their setup was and who they charged from there. So, well, Mike, thank you for playing, dude. I appreciate it. Guys, thank you for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Leave any comments below on your thoughts on what you want to see from us here at Blackfyre Productions. And until next time, ignite your hobby.